The beauty of data. Just like beauty pageants, which are prepared in advance, modeling through data analysis requires prior research so that everything starts and ends smoothly. In this search for talent, the first candidates arrive as a basis, on time, well-structured, and others that are semi-structured or in structuring. There is last-minute data that arrives, is reviewed, validated and not manipulated. They all wear their best information suits, some in formal suits of ties with variables, others in the informality of their presentation. They usually make up samples of an impossible-to-reach population. These data, all together, make the computers happy, which, with all their computer resources, will categorize their qualities and count their numerical dreams, participating in each regression to choose a contestant for the beauty pageant, considering the attributes that the jury and the public have previously selected. Some of the data will cling to what they represent, avoiding being excluded despite being very distant, even if the mean of the opinions, the median of their illusions or the mode of their feelings, accompany it without significant deviations. There is a complex scenario of someone seeking an answer for her choice, which she presumes depends on the attributes of the contestants. In the end she will not be the chosen one, but she will be the most esteemed, even if it is by chance or by interval. At the moment, the data is filled with passion, the emotion of being together represented by great friends, but with the detail that they cannot be more numerous than they are. They are bearers of all information, they are linked with a function to dance with each returning companion and to produce the greatest binding effect, to make feel good to the estimated solution, which will wear a beautiful hat, a detail of its elegance and its parsimony. The contestants arrive at a place where they wear their best clothes, where their attributes shine so that their differences with their esteemed ones are the minimum possible to the square of their expressions, counting on the alternative, once their size is contextualized, that is, to look for a solution for the verisimilitude of their emotions. The contestants hope that the weight of the influence of imperfections will not influence the opinion of their beauty, that it will be unbiased so that it can walk in a linear fashion on the catwalk, at an efficient pace, to reach a consistent destination. They all run to be photographed, because the ensemble or auto response needs to be very close together, to measure the close relationship, while a correlation supervisor measures the sense and magnitude of these mixed feelings. Being very tall, the supervisor exhibits a guayabera that makes him look enhanced to the square, with the unique function of analyzing the percentage of variation explained by their participation, around an average contestant. Some contestants who did not arrive in time for casting or because of missing data characteristics complement the adjustment that cannot be explained by the contestant's attributes. Everyone, the data and the variables, each one in his own style, are very attentive that their erratic friends are not so big, that the differences between those who have paraded with those who are estimated, do not explain the misunderstandings. They do not speak at all of their mistakes, but sometimes it is impossible to hide this situation. The jury in this contest is very atypical. They become formulas that measure the performance of each regressor term that accompanies the variables in an equation, made into a model. Because it is very important to determine if they represent the real parameters, sometimes intangible and unknown, that swim in a sea of probabilities. Each variable, made slanting character, with a standing number and its regressor friend, however, have friends that divide them, with many deviations, but have the luxury of having a potential t with an exponent in the form of an asterisk. But there is not only that kind of t, there is another one who studies and has fun in a flared curve, who stops his march when he is given confidence. At the precise moment when he manages to look at himself in the mirror, he cannot see his reflection, but he observes other t's with their respective attire in the form of an asterisk. She realizes that they are very happy celebrating that they are older than she is, and that condition points out to them how much the contestants' attributes mean to them to make the modeling of the esteemed, sometimes perfect, response more exciting. Now that all the variables are individually significant, they gather to attend an entertainment to parade together, that someone measures their beauties around an average beauty, so that hypothetically it can take, one of them, some value that makes the visual difference a beautiful expression. The ANOVA designer, very famous for analyzing the differences between the participants, their estimates and their averages, schedules a parade with its director, and Ife, who, between differences plus differences, becomes an important number, to be compared with her similar, who with some confidence and the degrees of freedom granted to her, her numerical figure swings on an asymmetric probable curve. The Ephesians are placed side by side, they want to measure each other, so with the greatest decorum, the Anovian director overcomes the similar probable, making at least one representative of the contestants responsible for the possibility of contributing to the choice of the winner of the contest. But that's not all. Again, it is necessary that the representatives of the candidates compare each other, in pairs and between third parties, to know if they are related, as a way to individualize the beauty information they carry. Their relationship cannot be very close, they can grow together, or one can decrease and the other grow, all at the same time, but with a subtle dependence that does not intervene when they pass to the stage of questions in front of the public. In these contests, normality is expressed through the behavior of the contestants' errors, which must come together so that in the advertisement they appear in rectangles of different heights, with the same base, that allow their midpoints to join at their apex, and then the tracing generates a bell-shaped curve, which when sounded allows the normal awakening of the solution. The jurors allow themselves a special, standardized error, taking the errors of the contestants, they divide them specially. Now spatially, those erroneous quotients pit them against the estimated contestants. They expect them to express themselves through a point cloud without any beauty pattern, and at least 95% of them are within the measurements allowed in the contest. This test represents compliance with normality, in approximate form, as well as the expressly homoscedastic behavior of the errors. In this type of test often appear atypical contestants, who arrived in the form of outlier, with a strange beauty that distances them from the meeting in the nebula, which the jury must review for acceptance in the contest or disqualification. An international representative of the contest, a certain Mr. Cook, in spite of the distance, observes them to see if one or some of the observations has a strong influence among the others, attracting their looks, and detects them by making them jump with the condition of not passing a unitary measure. If any of them passes, he calls it, analyzes it, describes it, and if a correction is made, otherwise he dismisses it from the contest. The modeling has generated estimated contestants that must be compared with the original contestants. This analysis is done by indicating that the original contestants walk along a walkway called X and the estimated contestants walk along a walkway called Y. Ideally, the cloud of points generated should be represented by a straight line that passes through the origin, that is, through the meeting between the walkways, and at the same time forms an angle of 45 degrees with the directions of the walkways. At that moment, the supervisor of the Guayabera becomes unitary and in solidarity with the modeling of the contestants. The models do not necessarily gather the contestants around a linear relationship between the contestants. It is possible that, due to the magnitude of the curves of their sculptural bodies, functional forms are generated that allow the production of maximum or minimum point estimates, which are graphically detected and must be evaluated to justify that the jury correctly modeled the function of their opinions. Then comes the selection process. There is no body of finalists, only based on the attributes selected by the jurors and the public. The modeling is done to obtain a point estimate, and with a certain level of confidence, an interval estimate. This is the most nervous stage for the decision-makers, because they must have the elements of conviction to choose the contestant, which could be either the punctual one or the one selected from the interval, knowing that the ideal one could not be contained in that range of values. A very important detail is that, according to the rules of the contest, the jury has a field of decision, being able to choose the contestant at will, basing its opinion on qualitative aspects not considered in the modeling, which is important for the decision-making. At the end of the jury's deliberations, a final admissible panel is reached, from which the winning contestant and her possible companions on the honor roll will be selected. Therefore, keep in mind that when analyzing a database, using a regression equation, the final modeling should not be out of competition. The beauty of data. Just like beauty pageants, which are prepared in advance, modeling through data analysis requires prior research so that everything starts and ends smoothly. In this search for talent, the first candidates arrive as a basis, on time, well-structured, and others that are semi-structured or in structuring. There is last-minute data that arrives, is reviewed, validated and not manipulated. They all wear their best information suits, some in formal suits of ties with variables, others in the informality of their presentation. They usually make up samples of an impossible-to-reach population. These data, all together, make the computers happy, which,